We are just a few days away from the release of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and if you haven't noticed, there are a lot of accessories coming out that are tied into this game, a lot of different GameCube controllers, different third-party accessories, and I am really excited today to talk about one of them, the GBros adapter. This is an adapter that you can plug a GameCube controller into, and it makes it a wireless controller for your Switch, which is an amazing idea. Now, if you're wondering why something like this is so exciting and why we're seeing so many different GameCube accessories coming out for Smash, well, the reason why is because basically the definitive Smash game that people always compare other Smash games to is Super Smash Melee for the GameCube. It's the one that really propelled the series into popularity. It cemented a very strong, tight-knit fighting game community, and because it was on the GameCube, well, it used the GameCube-style controller, and that really solidified it as the go-to controller for Smash Brothers. This is why when Brawl came out on the Wii, a lot of people wanted to make sure they had the ones that were backwards compatible with GameCube so they could use those controllers. That's why when the new Smash came out on Wii U, they released a separate adapter and new GameCube controllers to connect to it, and that's why for the Switch, we're seeing once again Nintendo release the adapter again, their own controllers again, and even all the third parties like PDP, Hori, and PowerA are all jumping in, releasing their own third-party GameCube controllers. And to be clear, I don't think this is just a situation of, oh, people used it back then so they feel comfortable with it. I really do think the GameCube controller is an excellent controller. My opinion of it has always been that it's not the most well-rounded controller, but when a game is designed specifically for it in mind, it is amazing, and Smash is an excellent example of that. And that's what really makes this thing really cool, is the fact that you can take that controller you've been using ever since Smash Melee, hook it up to this, and now it is a wireless controller for your Switch, giving you both the benefit of a GameCube controller, but the comfort of a wireless setup. And thankfully, it is really easy to use and set up, so let's check it out. There's not that many buttons you need to worry about on the unit itself. There's basically just these four. There's a syncing button that looks like a little C-stick, which is a nice little touch. There is a trigger right here that goes between X input and switch mode. X input is if you want to use it with a PC. We're going to use this for the Switch though, so we're going to put it to that. And these two buttons vary based on how they're being used. This one is the home button on the Switch. It's also how you initially turn on the GBros. And then the star button acts as screen capture. Now, setting this up for your Switch is very simple. It works like a lot of other wireless products. You just have to go to the Switch's connectivity screen, make sure the GBros is set to Switch mode, plug in the GameCube controller you want to use with it, and then hit and hold the home button to initially turn it on and make it search for a Switch to connect to. And then after just a moment, it connects. That's it. Done. Let's go ahead and try a game. Now, like with a lot of the other GameCube controller videos we've done so far, Smash obviously isn't out yet, so instead, we're gonna play Brawl out because that's one of the closest ones that can still make use of this layout. So let's check it out. Yeah, this just feels natural. This feels like using a regular GameCube controller. I'm not really noticing any input lag. I mean, no more than, using a wireless controller would have versus a direct wired in, but nothing that would be a problem. So yeah, that's really as simple as it is. I mean, I just have it plugged in and synced, and everything runs perfectly fine right now. I will say that for the setup, I mean, it's not like having a Wavebird where it is just a truly wireless controller and that's it. You do have to deal with the cable, which the wrap does help with, but you're always gonna end up with a little bit of bunched up cabling that might bother you. For me, it's not a big deal. Just make sure you have a place to sit this next to you while you're playing, and it's really a wireless experience. Something worth noting compared to the official Nintendo GameCube adapter is that this does add some buttons that you're missing on the GameCube controller, specifically the home button and screen capture like I mentioned earlier, but you are still missing a ZL button. So depending on the game you're playing, you are potentially still missing an important button, but this does up its ability to be used across more games than usual. So it works, but how does it compare to other GameCube controller options for the Switch? Well, the first obvious comparison is, of course, the official Nintendo GameCube adapter, which, like I said earlier, this has a couple benefits in that it does give you a home and screenshot button and obviously is a wireless setup instead of a wired one, but the big trade-off here is that the official Nintendo one gives you 4 controller ports, where this is just a single one. On the other hand, once again, wireless, additional buttons, and it supports Rumble on the GameCube controller, which the official Nintendo adapter does not. So the real trade-off here is this: if you're planning on doing local multiplayer games and you want a situation where 4 people all at once can have GameCube controllers, the official Nintendo is just going to be the cheaper, more affordable way to go. But if you're only going to play by yourself, or you only ever want to do 2-player multiplayer games that are more competitive 1v1, this is a great option. Even if you need to grab 2 of them, I think it's worth it. So this is a great go-to option for using your old school GameCube controller, but another option worth considering if you just want a wireless GameCube controller experience on your Switch is PowerA's wireless option. The trade-offs here are a little more interesting, because if you don't already own an official GameCube controller, this is going to be an option where you just buy it by itself and it's going to work right out of the box. You don't have to buy anything else. Not to mention the fact that while this does give you a wireless experience on a GameCube controller, you're still dealing with the fact that there is a cable hanging somewhere, and having it bunched up might be annoying for some people, which this doesn't give you. At the same time, however, while this is shaped like a GameCube controller and is, I think, a really good controller that comes close, it still isn't quite the same true original GameCube controller experience. And if you want that, if you want to have the actual old school controller, especially if you already own one, this is still going to be the way to go.